Today we're going to speak about 3 lessons that I learned from being homeless that serve me in business today. Hello my friend, my name is JT Tapias and I am the founder of Kingdom Fit Entrepreneurs. On this channel, we equip and train Christian online nutrition coaches to make 6 and 7 figures ethically and congruently and to shine a light for Christ. So if this is your first time on the channel, consider subscribing. I truly believe that some of the most important lessons in life come from adversity and strife. At the young age of 14, ironically for 14 months, I was homeless in the streets of New York City. My family belonged to a Colombian crime family at the time, and my mother was facing a 25-year sentence. She fled the US and I was left to stay with some close friends that were supposed to take care of me. The problem was that these friends were also in the same business, and I had absolutely had enough of that. And so that was my very first night on the streets of New York City. The first night on the streets was one of the scariest times of my life. I was hungry, I was cold, and I had no idea where I was going to sleep that night. Thankfully, I knew Flushing Meadows Park pretty well because I had played soccer there with some friends, and so I found a safe refuge where I stayed that night. Thankfully, it was the summer in New York City. Growing up in a 3rd-generation mafia family, I grew up in abundance, but in misery. Our homes were constantly raided by the DEA. I would change schools 2 and 3 times a year. It was such a traumatic time in my life. And so I had all these mental tapes that were so flawed about power and influence to the point where at some point in my adult life, I wanted to be part of this organization as well. My mental tapes were so flawed that I wanted to mimic and live out the lives of these wise guys. I would walk with a swagger, I would wear suits to public school, I would wear cologne and try to envision myself as part of the organization. And I was just a kid with a very impressionable mind, and I was playing out all the things that my male role models were showing me, and it got me into so much trouble. I was constantly kicked out of school, I'd get in trouble, I'd have horrible grades. And to be honest with you, at the time, school was such a waste of time since I wanted to engage in criminal activity as an adult. This was a career that I was going to choose for myself. I was diagnosed with learning disabilities, ADD, to the point that I was put into a special education class because I couldn't learn. This brought my self-confidence so low, thinking that I had issues and that I was simply dumb. But the truth of the matter was that there was so much going on at home that I had traumas that couldn't allow me to focus on the things that I needed to focus. In other words, my development was stunned. In the early 80s, the Marlboro Cup was playing in New Jersey. My mother had some meetings with some soccer executives that had come in from Medellin, Colombia for a specific team called Atlético Nacional. I remember walking into that suite, and the first thing I saw was this guy with some crazy hair, and he called me over, and I sat in his bed and we spoke for 2 hours. It happened to be the superstar René Higuita. He told me all about soccer, and he shared a soccer ball with me. He was a goalkeeper. He showed me his gloves, and I was enamored with everything that this guy was showing me, to the point where soccer became my obsession from here on out. Everywhere I would go, I would bring a soccer ball with me. I literally felt like I had a best friend, and I found that best friend in a soccer ball. I had a natural talent for soccer, and with that talent came confidence and a sense of belonging. That sense of belonging carried me all through my childhood and adolescence, to the point where I actually got to play soccer at a high level. I got to bring to fruition some of my wildest dreams. I went to Europe and Mexico to play with all the superheroes, all the guys that I would admire and look up to. I had an opportunity to actually play with those guys because of that sense of belonging and that confidence that I had found through soccer. In other words, soccer became my new best friend. So my friend, I would like to give you 3 lessons, 3 points that draw together this conclusion. Number 1, pain is a greater motivator than pleasure. All throughout my childhood adversity, I realized that pain wasn't there to break me. Pain was there actually to build me up in character. And oh boy, do you need that character in business. Through all the ups and downs that business may provide, having a strong character and the ability to suffer well is so important. Point number 2, reframes become a source of power. A reframe is simply taking something very negative and finding the positives in every single one of those points to build you up in strength, character, and resilience. And this is what I found inside of all my tragedies, was that I was able to reframe those ideas into very powerful lessons that I use in business today. Last but not least, we have a tendency to drive the car looking at the rear view mirror. Our past does not equal our future. If you have been brought up in scarcity, in poverty, if there has been a lack of things in your life, and that is still plaguing you today, it is a thought that constantly torments you and makes you think that you can't do well in business. I'm here to tell you today that it is only one thought, one feeling, and one action away from changing your life, from changing that generational curse into generational wealth. And so my friend, if you've enjoyed this video, would you consider subscribing? If you've liked this video, can you share it? Can you hit a like? And we look forward to seeing you here in Kingdom Fit Entrepreneur channel. I'm JT Tapias, and I will talk to you soon. So if you have resonated with any of the lessons on this video, would you leave a comment below and let us know exactly what lesson that is? Also, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, I would encourage you to do so. And if you enjoyed what you saw, can you share this or hit a like? We look forward to seeing you on Kingdom Fit Entrepreneurs. Until then.